Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Phumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. Remember to constantly wear that face mask if you are in crowds. The only time you can go without a face mask is if you are far away from those around you. You must also sanitize and constantly wash your hands. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za, on email. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you how often you use the post office. This as they are shutting down a lot of branches. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Firstly, here's what's coming up tonight. We find out how people consume music nowadays. We go to Nigeria to meet someone who teaches people how to code by using only their mobile phones. And in our conversation, we chat about TV white spaces. Once upon a time, if you had one of these, you probably would have been king. We found this vinyl player at Audio Shack in Pinetown, but even CD stores are shutting down nowadays. Musica shut down its last few stores just a couple of days ago. Now people also have turned music into a personal experience as well, as opposed to a shared experience, and this is through the use of headphones and other personal music devices. Cosmo Tamaya is a model who loves training and music. The Matatiele native says he relies on technologies to keep him pumped up with music when he is working out. It's these Huawei FreeBuds that he enjoys the most.
It's very important to me because it's louder, of which everybody likes that. It's louder and I feel like it's more portable. I don't have to hold my phone. When I jog, I just feel free.
Apart from hands-free Bluetooth tech to consume music, Cosmo says he no longer buys physical albums, but now gets his favorite songs online.
I find my music on different websites, normally download it on different websites, and I also use iStore. I listen to it I mostly listen to my music when I work out.
The impact of digital downloads of music has been most visible with the shutting down of CD stores. Clicks Group recently shut down all Musica stores. In the past, there were others that competed in the space, which also had to close shop.
We do everything on our phones, we do everything on our laptops, like basically everything is now done online. We have digital stores where you can actually get to listen, even though you cannot afford to buy the entire album.
In my ears, and each week I have a different playlist for the week. This week I'm in a love mood, so yeah, it's all those nice. New, old, it's a mixture of everything.
It's platforms like Spotify that have taken customers from them.
This is the home of Afrobeats, Amapiano, Gengetone. Established and growing genres are the hearts of genre of Africa and the future of music. And there's an incredible pool of creative talent in this part of the world, from musicians, songwriters, podcasts, all of them storytellers in their different formats that will now have access to our global stage. And we've seen this firsthand in markets like South Africa, Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco.
But in Pinetown, we found Audio Shack. They still sell vinyls and some CDs. They say the closure of big chain stores has boosted their business.
It's become very collectible. Some vinyls are quite valuable. And the market is good. Social media, very strong, a lot of sellers and buyers on your social media, and quite a few stores countrywide. Western Cape, I think there's close to 10 or more outlets. Gauteng, at least that.
We're doing very well actually. Since the bigger stores have closed down, it's actually increased our footprint. We don't advertise, everything is word of mouth. So the people that come here are actually genuine collectors.
Africa still has high data prices and connectivity issues. A number of platforms say they've created methods for people to listen offline.
We are customizing the experience to the local conditions of the fan, of the consumer, right? We know, for example, in Africa that we have an issue with data. For example, we know that data is expensive. We know that you have to be precious about the units that you consume, whatever the telco is that you use. And to speak to that, we have Spotify Lite, which is a lighter version of Spotify. And what that does is that it requires so much less than what what regular Spotify app requires.
Spotify tells us hip-hop is always popular with streaming fans. Amapiano is often mentioned on how players in the space have successfully used online platforms to boost the genre's popularity. I think it's actually really cool that you can still find places that sell some of this. But let's go to the Eastern Cape now, where producer Sandile Hlangani met up with a group of children who recently entered a competition that's promising to give them a bit of funding for their app to become a reality.
The 2021 Go IT App Challenge engaged primary and high school learners across the country in a friendly competition that challenged them to develop apps that solve real-world problems.
So the Go IT Challenge is really to expose the students or the learners to solving real-world problems, but also through this challenge, we take them through a whole series of development.
Here, learners across the country compete in the name of STEM, science and technology, and for space on your mobile phone.
The STEM skills gap, we try to bridge that gap and demystifying computer science. They go through a design thinking process. What is a design thinker? And a very important skill of the 21st century. And then they choose a problem or identify a problem in the community.
There were 4 winners in the competition. Get Ahead College team from Queenstown in the Eastern Cape took the 4th spot for their idea of an app that promotes zero hunger.
We are living in the 4th industrial revolution. It is very important that we use scientific knowledge in practical ways to improve people's lives.
We want to take the app to higher places in order for the goal to be sustained. You see? So the app, okay, let's say the app doesn't need data, it's free. You can go to where there's computers, where there's phones, wherever.
And our main goal is to reach the zero hunger. So even if we don't get money, we don't mind that, because all we want is to see that children are being fed and our community is in a better place.
The team from Sinanjongo High School in Joe Slovo Park in Cape Town won for their idea of an app that promotes gender equality.
Because we've noticed that people actually do acknowledge that gender inequality is a problem out there, but they do not pay attention to it. It's something that they just know, but not willing to make a change about it. So we thought, why not create something that's going to change the mindset of people, to get them to actually know and understand the importance of gender equality. Our app, the main focus of it is just explaining to people more about how gender equality affects them on a daily basis, even though they do not know about it, give them advice to the different problems that they have.
Not only do the learners get the chance to develop their skills in the digital world through coding and gaming, they also learn to research, create storyboards, and collaborate.
What we want to teach the kids here is not just the technology, but we want to teach them how to be communication workers, how to understand how to collaborate, how to use technology to benefit themselves and not just to use technology for the sake of using technology.
These learners also get to witness imaginary ideas coming to life in technology with the help of experts and ultimately pitch their concept in front of the judges across various sectors. At Pitch, learners get to meet the people who could help them fund their ideas, learn about financial management, and realize their business ideas.
So through all this, they learn so many new 21st century skills, such as design thinking, computer science, coding. They get to be exposed to a little bit of robotics.
Saki Kamva Foundation says this 3-month challenge is structured to mirror the school year and add value to the existing curriculum.
We do a call out to all schools. We invite the schools out, say, in fact, at this stage, for this particular project, we've engaged with the Western Cape Education Department and we inform them about the challenge. The interest then comes from the schools, then we implement these modules.
The app challenge is open to all schools across the country.
Let's go to Lagos, Nigeria now to meet someone who teaches people how to code by using only their mobile devices.
Samuel Anya Ele, founder of a startup company, Mobile Prof, based in Lagos, Nigeria, has taken upon himself to teach aspiring software developers how to code, even when they don't have laptops. All they need is a smartphone. The HTML code he writes on his phone would be displayed on a monitor in the classroom.
In the environment where we live in, there are more people with access to mobile phones than with PCs. So by teaching them how to code on their mobile phones, we're effectively giving them a tool to work, whether they have a PC or not.
20-year-old Chinonso is one of Anya Ele's students. He now builds websites for his clients. But regular power cuts can be a problem in Nigeria. But the young man applies quick thinking when that happens.
So there was a time, all right, I had a client and I needed to meet a deadline. So in order for me to meet that deadline, there was no light and my laptop was down. So I had to move those folders into my phone and continue on my phone in order to meet up those deadlines.
2/3 of people aged 15 and 34 are either unemployed or underemployed. And coding skills are seen by many younger Nigerians as a way to earn money from client base anywhere around the world. This is a game changer in the world with ready jobs for software developers.
If you don't find job locally, they are international job. And in the international job, if you don't find the job in Europe, you'll find it in America. If you don't find America, you'll find it in Asia. If you don't get a full-time job, there's a freelance gig opportunity. If you don't find freelance, you can start your own startup. And if you cannot, you can run a small agency where you basically build apps and software for people. So, it is the age of software development, pretty much.
Even though many struggle to see phone as anything more than entertainment devices, Anya Ele is determined to change the perception to overcome that.
Having to deal with that perception of we are teaching people how to code on their mobile and then they are assuming it's something childish or something that is not professional enough, is something that we had to deal with.
Samuel Anya Ele says that his class does not aim to replace laptops as the primary coding tool, but to enable the use of computers as the beginner tools for those who do not have personal computers.
In the early days of TV and filmmaking, you would have found that the editing that used to be done then would have been on a reel-to-reel machine, much like this particular one. Things are a little bit easier now as they have been digitized quite a lot. It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we will chat about TV white spaces. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Welcome back. Now, it's no secret that in Africa we have internet connectivity issues, and a lot of the rural parts of the continent, including here in South Africa, are still not fully connected to the internet. And for those that can be connected, you find that most people can't afford the cost to connect and therefore the cost to communicate and find out about other aspects of life and do certain things. But there are TV white spaces which can be utilized for this, and they have started to do this at the CSIR. To talk to me about TV white spaces and what they are is Dr. Luzango Mfuphe. He is from the CSIR. Hello, and thank you very much for being a part of our network, Dr. Mfuphe. Maybe if you can start by explaining to us what these TV white spaces actually are.
White spaces in radio communication or wireless communications are those unused parts of the spectrum in any given band of interest. So the reason why we call them television white spaces is because we are dealing here with a spectrum that is allocated for broadcasters like yourself, SABC and the likes. So in those the spectrum that is allocated for television broadcasting, traditionally, in order to avoid interference between one station to another, back then the only solution was to leave a small gap between one station, frequency used by one station and the next, the so-called guard band. So that part is always left idle to avoid crosstalk when both stations are transmitting. So that is one you can say element of white space or television white space when we are specifically talking about television frequency. The other white space that can be found in any given band of interest, in particular in television, is the physical limitations of the equipment or the technology that we are using. Obviously, if you are transmitting from, let's say, Johannesburg there at a given band, there will be a limitation whereby the station power will not go or exceed a certain distance. Thereby, if let's say I'm sitting now in Mpumalanga, for me to be able to watch the same TV program, let's say it's SABC 1, there should be another transmitter maybe nearby, just to carry that signal to this side. So that those geographical limitations can be exploited with a technique called dynamic spectrum access, and reuse parts of the spectrum that is not being used because of that limitation of the distance between the station that is transmitting in Johannesburg and the repeater station maybe that is in Mpumalanga.
Dr. Mfuphe, these can be repurposed for internet connectivity. Tell us about that.
So first, you need to make sure that these broadcasters or incumbent users are well protected from any kind of interference, which can degrade the signals received by users of television users at homes. So how do you do that? First of all, you need to get a technique that is very optimal to enable that to happen. Secondly, there must be some sort of a policy and regulations that guide how such spectrum can be utilized.
Now, as the CSIR, Dr. Mfuphe, you have been doing some work, especially in the rural parts of South Africa, in order to connect to those who haven't been connected by using TV or white spaces. What kind of work have you been doing?
Over the past 10 years, the CSIR, and in particular the department where I'm working, we've been doing this kind of research on the technical aspect of it, and also assisting stakeholders, for example, the regulator ICASA, to come up with policies and regulations that can allow that coexistence of broadcasters who are the primary users and are supposed to be protected from interference, and these other users who will come and reuse the same spectrum that is being used by broadcasters.
All right, Dr. Luzango Mfuphe from the CSIR, thank you very much for being a part of our network. And with that, let's take a quick break. If you're into a lot of old music, you would find a lot of classics right here at Audio Shack. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Welcome back. Let's take a look at what else took place in the technology world in the rest of the globe.
Chinese Huawei launched its Harmony operating system for smartphones, looking to recover from US sanctions. The company will start rolling out Harmony OS on selected smartphone models, offering users the chance to switch from the current operating system based on Google's Android platform. The use of Harmony means the company will no longer be reliant on Google. The company found itself on a US trade blacklist in May 2019 due to a national security concern. Huawei unveiled several new products using Harmony OS, including a tablet and a smartwatch, during a video launch from the company's headquarters in Shenzhen. In the UK, air filters disguised as adverts that suck viruses and pollutants out of the air could be installed in pollution hotspots such as railway stations, airports, and shopping centers. UK clean tech startup company has joined forces with one of the world's largest advertising agencies to launch the technology.
And we thought, is there a way to essentially package up clean technology, innovative clean technology, and put it in the places that need to deal with air pollution the most? And that's kind of what the Pluto column embodies.
A 6-month trial of an 11-foot high column in North London has proven its ability to clean up to 99% of harmful airborne viruses. The company's collaboration with Kinetic will fund the rollout of the technology, which they aim to pay for, with brands sponsoring the units. The company is now in talks with a range of major brands to sponsor installations and has seen strong interest from renewable energy suppliers.
The South African Post Office has said that they are shutting down about 80 branches. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you how often you use post office services nowadays. 8% of those that responded to our poll say they use post office services all the time. That number is in the minority. 37% of you say you never use a post office services. That's the majority. 33% of you say you use them only sometimes. And there's a further 22% that says they use them only once or twice a year. And that's it. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's newsnetwork at sabc.co.za on email. From me, Phumelele Zondi, and the rest of the team, sanitize, wear that face mask. Have a good one. Bye-bye.